Alright guys, part 2 of the Coolant Flange Audi 2002 1.8 turbo motor. Just got the hose in. It's already connected to the bottom of the coolant flange with the quick disconnect. Came with a clip in it already. Coolant flange on the back of the head, guys, looks pretty good. Looks intact. I don't see any leaks. Once again, it was a faulty hose. You could find that in part 1 of my video. And right now I just reconnected the hose. It goes up underneath this firewall, and it's the lower hose right there, guys, into the heater core. And right now I'm reinstalling this combi valve. It's got 3 5mm Allen bolts or hex bolts. They look like this. There's 3 of those. There is also on the back of the combi valve, there is a gasket. Don't lose the gasket, guys. Like I said in part 1, be very careful with the gasket when you're taking off the last Allen bolt, removing the combi valve. Make sure your hand is underneath there, so if it falls down, it falls in your hands. You don't want to lose it, or you'll be going to the dealer to get another one. Gonna start all of the reinstallation of the breather pipes. The actual oil feed line for the turbo goes right in here, right at that turbo. I got to reinstall all of the coil harness plugs. Also, take this bolt out here like I told you guys in part 1 so you don't lose it. That's for your ground loop. And I'll be back with you guys shortly to let you know how it's looking so far. Last thing I'm going to put in here is the air box. And we'll go from there. See you guys in a sec. Stay tuned. Alright guys, this is how it looks with the combi valve reinstalled. As you can see, behind the combi valve, you could see the 5mm Allen bolt or hex bolt. Don't forget, at the back of the combi valve, guys, you're going to see a very small vacuum line. Don't forget to connect that as well. Stay tuned. Alright guys, now what I'm installing is the oil feed line for the turbo that gets connected around the back of the head onto the actual coolant flange. There's 2 bolts. There's one here. There's one down in here. See if I could show you this. I'm way back here. One right here. Right there, guys. Tighten those up, snug them. I don't actually have a torque wrench on me right now. I'm just giving them a nice little snug. A lot of this stuff is aluminum, all the housings. You don't want to crack it. So that's my next deal right now. Putting on this oil feed line into the turbo. And we'll start with the breather tubes after this. Alright guys, once you got your combi valve, your oil feed line put in, installed nice and tight, what I find that works a little easier, get a heat gun and warm up this part right here. It's kind of like your little Y tube, Y connector, Y pipe. It's plastic, kind of a hard rubber when it's cold, hard plastic when it's cold, but if you soften this up with a heat gun, it's much easier to put in. You got your connection way down in here, right down in there, and obviously right behind the actual crankcase or upper valve cover. Once it's warmed up with a heat gun, it just flexes very easy. You don't have to worry about it cracking because when it is cold, it feels very brittle. And where I'm at right now, it's pretty much below 0, so that thing was pretty cold. Once you get that nice and snug down, now you can put your breather pipe in here. Come around here. And I'll install that. Alright guys. Got my breather tube in from the combi valve. Gets connected right here. Again guys, these little plastic elbows here, it is an Audi part. I'm believing it is factory. I I gotta tell you, when it's cold, that piece feels like hard plastic. Use a heat gun. Just use a heat gun and warm up these elbows here. And this little connection here, that's a little plastic connection there as well. Heat those up with a heat gun, guys. This is what I'm using. I'll show you. Just using one of these Wagner's, 20 bucks from Home Depot, Menards. Just use it, put it on the warm setting or the low setting. Just heat them up a little bit. Spray the connections a little bit with WD-40 so it slides on easy. I got a couple bolts here. There's going to be one right here by my finger. Crank that down. There's going to be one down in here. And there's another one. Actually, that's it, guys. There's just two on this. There's one here. There's one right here. And there's one here that I got to tighten down. So I'm going to tighten those two down. We'll be on to the next breather tube. All right, guys. Well, pretty much got everything installed. This is how it looks. The only thing left is the air box. Heat shield in. Also, there's a heat shield underneath the breather tubes right in there. That's in. Coil packs are replugged in already. Hopefully, this is going to fix the problem, guys. Don't forget, disconnect your battery again. Last. The best way I found by putting coolant in this car, especially because of the fact that it does have problems with air bubbles in the system. Any kind of air pockets or anything in the system causes the car to overheat, as you guys may know with these 1.8Ts. And you get no heat at all. So what I like to do here is I like to take out this breather screw right here. Just take it out of the pipe. Open up the reservoir. And once you get this reservoir open, if you can, make sure it's still disconnected. Try to lift up the reservoir as high as you can. Make it the highest point of all of your coolant lines, your hoses, what have you. The highest point. That way it pushes any air down. What you're going to notice is, once you're filling this reservoir up with coolant, and this screw is out for the bleeder pipe, you're going to notice once your coolant starts coming out of this pipe, out of this hole, for a little bit, maybe a split second or two, put the screw back in. Just snug it by hand so it stops leaking. And then you can just top off your reservoir. I noticed in the past when I did the coolant flange the first time, and I did a thermostat housing and a timing belt and water pump and you name it, I noticed that when I do it that way and just drive the car for half hour, 40 minutes, drive the car, get it up to temperature, I noticed that if there is any air pockets whatsoever left in the system, they pretty much work themselves out. Then when the car is cooled off, you can open up the reservoir again, top it off. You should be fine, guys. Make sure you're using the proper coolant, G12. I got it from the dealership. Actually, I got it from ECS Tuning. I got the first time around, I got it from the dealership, but this time I got it from ECS Tuning. And good luck, guys. These cars are fun to drive. They look great. But when they break, as you guys may know, they break. Special tools, special sockets, special wrenches. Pretty much every hose clamp that was on here, if it was a factory Volkswagen hose clamp, I literally cut them off. I put these on here. You can get these 3 for $1 pretty much where I'm at. I put them everywhere. Pretty much every connection. I got them everywhere, guys. That way, you don't have to worry about having a special tool to reapply those clamps. And I'm not a big fan of those clamps to begin with. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it's a help. If you guys got any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And good luck, guys. Thanks for watching.